Bill, thank you for those dance moves. They brightened my day. Oh, Bill, maybe you should start doing this with us in the background. Um, okay. So we're doing an introduction to hypopressives for the rooted community because we want to start integrating them into class a little bit more. It is such a detail-oriented practice that it is not going to be the focus of our rooted class ever, probably. We'll make or we'll like do it every once in a while where it'll be a hypopressives class. But I want us all to get comfortable with being able to find the positions based on like the why. Not like, okay, this is what this position looks like, and this is what this position looks like. But if you understand the why, then you'll be able to perform it and get there more easily because you know what you're looking for in your body. So that's the point of this um, of this class. And then, pardon me, there is going to be um, I will create other opportunities for you to go deeper, whether that's one-on-one or we create like a separate class. And that just depends on you guys communicating with me a desire. Um, as far as the need is there because kind of the breath organization, how we breathe, how we were designed to breathe, and then what is actually happening on every breath are two very different things for most people. And when we're not breathing in a functional way, when we don't have the unconscious organization of the breath online, we set the conditions for dis-ease. And just to illustrate that a little bit, when our diaphragm is restricted, it's the main pump for our lymph and our detox system. Then it's also a huge stabilizer for our core and our spine organs. It also is the main muscle in our breathing mechanism. And if we are not breathing in an optimal way, or at least close to that, because obviously optimal is like a range. It's not about like breathing perfectly. I don't want to infuse that kind of perfectionist mindset, but the idea is that we have a certain way that we breathe unconsciously. And if it's restricted on every breath all day, every day, and there's compensatory patterns happening, then you are also setting the conditions for the nervous system to be dysregulated tremendously because having a short and trapped breath, not being able to move the rib cage and sending that air pressure maybe down into the belly or up into the shoulders is a threat signal. And it is very hard to overcome, um, it's very hard to overcome a mental dysregulation without the physical conditions required to be regulated in the body. And we're not just talking about nervous system regulation, but just organ, breath, lymph. It's super foundational. And I like root cause work. So the diaphragm is really activated and utilized in hypopressives. It will help you to kind of like stretch it and get it to be more dynamic and function. And that helps to regulate your core, your deep core system. So you can get your transverse abdominis and your pelvic floor function um, optimized because you're not creating rigidity and downward pressure. So if we have this area tight and it's not moving out and in on our breaths, and we end up having the breath move up here more or out here more, then we are putting downward pressure on the pelvic floor, or we are lacking the signal, the movement of the pelvic floor on every breath, which causes rigidity. So that's part of the why. Hypopressive starts, all of the postures are named after goddesses, which is super cute. I really like that. So I will start giving you the names of the positions and the postures. And it's not about you memorizing them, but slowly just becoming familiar with them. And so we will start with just standing and having some experiential learning so that we can feel what I'm talking about. Ah, okay. So the first thing that we want to do, I I was taught lying on the back first, but I really like standing up because it's like what we're doing most of the day. So um, first, let's do like a 1 minute wiggle because hypopressives doesn't work when you've been kind of like compressed or you haven't warmed up your body. So we're going to do this. We're going to shake. You guys who know me know that this is where we start a lot. Just helping to move the lymph up, regulate that like electrical energy running through the tissue, helping to loosen up the joints and kind of smooth out the nervous system to get in a more somatic state because this practice is very detailed. It's even can be a little bit confronting because we want to move fast and do the thing. But instead we have to be really, slow with our bodies. Eventually it becomes a challenging practice physically, but at first it's a challenging practice mentally. So from here, we're just going to do like a twist. Okay, so you're rotating your ribs against your pelvis, and it's sort of like you're walking in place. And you can swing the arms, or you can do your little power walk elbows like I am, just getting that rib cage to move. And then we're going to reach the arms up and stick the booty out like that a little bit. And then just reach to one side and the other. And we're trying to open through the side body and just kind of wiggle and stretch and feel the rib cage open up. And then separate your feet a little more, reach the arms up and throw the arms through the legs. So all of this is in service to getting your breathing mechanism a little bit more opened up. And that just has so much impact on your mental health as well. So just think of this warm up as a thing you could do anytime when you feel stagnant energy or frenetic energy in your body mind. Okay, we're going to pause. Feel your body. Just relax and feel your breath. Then we're going to bring your attention to your feet. I would like you to get your feet parallel. What I mean by that is that you can look at this second toe bone, not the actual toe, because sometimes they point in funny directions, but the bone in your foot for your second toe, that's pointing straight forward like the number 11. And those feet are in line with your ASIS bones, those bones in the front of your hips. So you could draw a straight line down from your hip bones to that second toe bone. Okay, so now you have a parallel stance. And you're just going to relax your arms at first and breathe. And see, can you wiggle your toes? How are you loading your feet? So we want the foot to have weight evenly distributed on it. If you're too far forward, you might feel your toes gripping the floor and it's like hard to wiggle them. Move the weight back a little bit till you can wiggle your toes, but then let them be on the ground. And then you're noticing the tension in the legs. A lot of the time, we have unconscious gripping in the thighs and the knees. So I want you to see if you can relax your kneecaps. The quads have dropped the kneecaps and there is a softness around the knees. It's not that you're bending your knees, you're just not lifting your kneecaps and tensing your quads. So now you're there and you're going to let your body weight shift forward into the balls of the feet a little bit. Now the reason for this is that if you notice when you're loading the whole foot, what your lower spine or pelvis feels, and then when you shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet more, you will feel a deloading in the lower back and pelvis. So that's why we're doing it. But you may start gripping your knees again. So then, can you soften them? Can you still wiggle your toes? It's a subtle like this perfect little alignment where you're not gripping in the toes, you're not gripping in the toes, but you are loading the ball of the foot. So just play with that until you can get to a point where you're loading the ball of the foot, the knees are soft, and you can just feel a little bit of more energy flow or less weight or load in the back. Okay, so now we're going to move the arms away from the body and spread the fingers. And the reason for this is that what our arms are doing is spreading the scapula. We are trying to create more room in the pressure system. The pressure system from the nose to the pelvic floor is like one big balloon in your body that is changing pressure all the time with your inhales and exhales. As soon as you move your arms away from your body, your scapula move, and you'll notice that there's a little bit more room to breathe laterally into the rib cage. So feel that spreading of the arms, the elbows are pointing out, and it's like you have balls right in your armpits to keep space right there. So just notice now how, because you have done these little modifications to the stance, what does your breath feel like? So this is called Venus. It's a foundational posture. And we are just noticing, let your arms rest and breathe. And then bring your arms into that Venus position with the fingers spread and the armpits hollow. And breathe again. And notice the difference in the armpits, the rib cage, your ability to breathe laterally. So we're not going to go into the vacuum yet. This was to illustrate that every part of the hypopressives position is in service to creating space in your pressure system and a stacking of the domes, the pelvic floor dome, the diaphragm dome, the glottis or the throat dome, the top of the head dome. So we're never in a position where the booty's back and the heart's forward. We're always, no matter if we're in a diagonal or we're on the ground, we are always stacking the pelvic floor, the rib cage, the throat, the top of the head, or we are coming into a rounded shape where those domes are still in alignment, where you're still looking for that arc, not a kink. So that's kind of the philosophy. In every position, you will find that your elbows, where they go and where they point, is going to affect your scapula. And the way that your scapula move is going to affect how you can move your rib cage, or sorry, how you can breathe into your rib cage. This is so essential because this is usually where people are trapped. So feeling this and feeling how this area is able to expand more because of the space you're making is a really foundational piece to feel. So relaxing this space here between in the solar plexus area, it's like the diaphragm connects all the way around the rib cage. It's an umbrella that connects to this whole structure. But this area here is what we call the zone of apposition. And this is something that you could definitely try in the mirror, or even pin yourself on the computer screen for a few to see the zone of apposition on your own body. And I'm getting close up and focusing on that before we actually do a vacuum, because there's really no point in doing the vacuum if you inhale like this and your ribs don't move out, and then you do, and then you do an apnea or a vacuum. Well, you haven't gotten the structure in place doing the thing, and so the vacuum is then not going to do the thing. So what's most important is that we get your body in a position, dome stacked, and then that we're able to feel the inhale widens you, the zone of apposition widens. So here's my ribs. Inhale. Exhale, they come towards the center line. So my fingers are just following the line of my rib cage. Now, because my hands are where they are, the breath is a little distorted. like my shoulders are rising and chest is rising a little more, but I'm hoping to illustrate this movement here. If this is not happening, usually it's either this, and we flare forward, but we don't breathe into the back, or we breathe up and down, and the wideness isn't happening. So when we're doing our rest breaths before the apnea, the rest breaths are to tune in to the nature of that breath and that specific function of the rib cage broadening laterally on the inhale, and the exhale, the rib cage glides towards the center line. So if you feel like you have no idea or you want to work on this, you can take one of these little bands, and you don't have to do it now, but it's something that's very easy to try on your own. And just lying down, standing up, seated, you can do this and just feel the inhale. You're going to let it be a little loose, and you're going to try to stretch it. And on the exhale, you're going to pull to just not encourage gripping. I don't want you to tense these muscles, but just coach the rib cage back in towards the center line. So that is a huge part of the breathing mechanism that we're looking to tune into in the rest breaths. Usually we don't even move into the apneas for a session or two because we're working on the posture, the space, and the organization of the breath. Sometimes the organization of the breath doesn't happen right away, and the apneas help. So it's not about perfection, but just being able to tune into where you are. So the idea is generally that we inhale, and as our rib cage broadens, truly our whole trunk is widening. The air pressure is pushing the spine back through the skin here. It's expanding here because of the overflow, not because we're breathing into the belly only, but because we're breathing into the rib cage, and naturally the overflow is coming into the whole trunk. So the inhale is a wide energy. And then the exhale is the domes rising. Pelvic floor lifts, diaphragm lifts, and the spine gets a little taller because there's just less curvature. The inhale expands you, so there's more curvature. The inhale is broadening, and the exhale, you grow. So now we're going to come into that Venus position and focus on the rest breaths, trying to find that widening on the inhale and then the growing of the exhale. Those of you who have been in Rooted with me, you already are tuned into that pelvic floor rise, diaphragm rise, and lift or grow on the exhale. So we're just tuning into that. Feet are parallel, arms are spread. You feel like you have this like hollow space between the upper arm, and it's not here, but here, because then that really moves the scapula wider to give you more space. And we're just going to do the checks. Check in with how you're loading the feet. The knees are soft. We're going to shift a little bit forward into the balls of the feet. Fingers spread because it informs how your rib cage is also responding. So if you close your fingers and breathe, and then if you open your fingers and breathe, you will feel a difference. And it's really good to know that because these arm positions can get tiresome, okay? And we need to shake it out a million times, but there's a reason, a really strong reason for all of these little weird details. So coming back into that spread fingers and palms, broad upper back, space in the armpits, and just notice the inhale broadens you. And the exhale makes you grow, and you feel the pelvic floor rise, the diaphragm rise, and the top of the head just grow a little bit taller. And just one more rest breath like that. So the beginning of any hypopressives position, whether we're on our back, on our hands and knees, standing, Our rest breaths are looking for that coherence. The inhale broadens us. The exhale makes us grow, and you just tune into that domes rising feeling to bring that center line awareness. So I'm going to pause and just ask, you guys have a foundation because we've, been talking about this stuff for a while. Is this tracking so far? Like the inhale widen, exhale grow. Are we having issues connecting with it? Does it make sense, but the body is not following? Yeah? Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So we're going to talk about the apnea. So the pattern is, thank you guys for the response. The pattern is that you have a few rest breaths. Then following an exhale where you're feeling a good connection. The rest breaths are so important to set you up for the apnea. So if you don't feel like you had a good breath, take another one before you do the apnea. But the apnea follows an exhale. So it's inhale, exhale, then apnea. Yeah, I can't talk while you do it. So you may notice when I do my apnea that it looks uneven, like it's more hollow on one side than the other, but our liver kind of shows up in the apnea on the right side. So just so you know that that's there if you're looking at it in the mirror. I've encouraged all of you to do diaphragm massage and kind of work underneath this structure and see if you can get your fingers underneath. If you feel more density under your right side, it's not necessarily just your tissue being more dense or restricted. It's also probably your liver that you're feeling. So I'm just wanting you to be aware of that. But we're going to now try getting a few rest breaths in that low venous position. And I mean low because the hands can be here, they can be here, they can be here, and this is all venous. But we're going to start in this low position. We're going to have 3 rest breaths followed by an apnea. So the apnea, you just create a seal, you do that false inhale, you hold. In the apnea, you are continuing to influence the apnea. It is active. You are reaching your heels down. You are reaching out through your elbows or fingertips. You are growing. You're trying to create this energy like you're in a bubble and you're spreading out into the bubble while you're doing the apnea. Then you take an inhale whenever it comes and you exhale, and we'll just relax after that. Okay. Okay, feet parallel. Finding that slight axis shift forward. Bringing the hands out away from the body, creating that hollow space in the armpits. Getting your domes to stack, pelvic floor and pelvis, diaphragm and rib cage, top of the head. And your rest breathing. You're tuning into the wideness of the inhale. And then the exhale growing. Pelvic floor rises, diaphragm rises, and you feel like the top of the head has lifted a millimeter towards the ceiling, which it has. Inhale, broaden. Exhale. Now, after the next exhale, we're going to apnea. Inhale. Elbows are pointing out, fingers are spread. Exhale. Domes rise, you grow. Now, apnea. You continue. So you just keep influencing the apnea. Keep the weight in the balls of the feet. Keep the heels reaching down. Keep the elbows pointing out. Keep the top of the head rising. Stay here for the inhale. And then exhale, just relax. So another thing that I love about this practice is that it gives you energy. It like wakes you up. It draws that kind of heavy energy where we sink into sort of this posture, tired, kind of, the weight of the world starts to hang down in the pelvis and legs. And we do a few of these postures and we start to feel that string pulling us back up, and the transverse abdominis comes online and we have a little bit better like blood flow to the brain. So we're going to do a few postures and progressions just to give you that experience of, oh, now what do I feel like after doing a few of those? Can I feel an energetic shift? Can I feel my resting breath change? Do I feel like the lights in my brain are a little bit different? So same idea here. We're going to inhale, exhale. We'll do 2 rest breaths. After the second rest breath, we're going to apnea. But in the apnea, we're going to go from here to here. And notice I'm not straightening my arms because now I've narrowed my rib cage and scapula. I'm keeping the rib cage and scapula open, keeping a soft bend in the elbow. Palms are spread because the arm position is in service to this spot, to the scapula. So we want to feel serratus anterior, pulling the scapula wide underneath the shoulder or the armpits. So this will be, we'll do the apnea here. In the apnea, we're going to open, hold, stay here for the inhale, and then exhale back down here. Okay, so starting with feet parallel, do the posture check, loading the feet, reaching the heels energetically down towards the ground so you feel like there's activity through the feet, spreading the fingertips, spreading the palms, pointing the elbows out. Inhale for your first rest breath. Exhale, domes rise. Inhale, second rest breath. After this exhale, we're going to apnea. Apnea. Keep going as long as you're able. But remember that they're not just hanging out here, it's active. We're reaching out the elbows, reaching out of the fingertips, broadening and influencing that apnea. When you need to take a breath, you inhale. When you exhale, we're going to come back down here. So now I'm going to teach you Athena. And these 2 arm positions, this, and now this is Athena. These are going to show up in the seated, the kneeling, the laying. So this is a frequent reference, Athena and Venus. This is your Venus arms. Here's your Athena arms, low Athena. Okay, and then here's high Athena, or middle Athena and high Athena. So same feet, low Athena. Now, you're flexing your wrists, spreading the hands. This is challenging for my body and many others. Just feeling that tension. It's really just waking that up and that relationship actually all the way up into the neck, the cervical and thoracic spine. So just feeling this and the work involved, but also feel how this press down and out is helping you create space here. So we're going to rest breath, inhale, broaden. Exhale, grow. Eyes out on the horizon. Inhale, broaden. Exhale, grow. Pelvic floor lifts. Diaphragm lifts. Top of the head lifts. Apnea. Now, in the apnea, you can raise the arms, but you don't shrug the shoulders. So how high you go depends on keeping this width and this space. When you're done with the apnea, you inhale, and you exhale, you can come back down to low Athena. Okay, so now we're going to come to the floor. Actually, I'll just leave this here. No, I'm not. I'm going to bring you down on the floor with me. Okay. Any questions along the way, please chime in. Your questions are also other people's questions. So if you have anything you want to ask before we move on to a floor posture, let me know.
I have a quick question,
Yeah.
Amalia.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I find there's a lot of tightness doing the low Athena, moving my arms up.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any cues or anything that I should keep in mind? Because I'm really thinking about keeping my shoulders down and my scapula spread.
Right.
What are some other areas to increase the range of motion in that movement?
Well, the thing is that what we don't realize is that our breathing mechanism has a lot to do with this mobility. And so as we improve this and the thoracic spine function, we are going to improve the shoulder mobility. But in the moment, you don't do anything to force it. And you can do these kinds of movements with a band so that you can kind of spread out to help keep that connection wide versus compressed and lifted. So this little band can definitely help with that. But in the movement, first of all, just know like this discomfort does not mean that you shouldn't do it because it's hard for your body. This means please do it more. Okay. So this slowly getting used to this and this movement is going to help with your all of your biomechanics. Like this has so much to do with our neck and thoracic spine. In
Yeah,
the
I've got a lot
moment,
of thoracic spine injuries, so that makes sense.
yeah, and actually like this tightness in a lot of practices, you'll hear that the wrist is the neck of the arm and the ankle is the neck of the leg, and how they function has a direct chain and relationship to our cervical spine. So, like lots of hairstyling and feeling like this area is being overworked and in repetitive motion a lot can definitely prime your cervical and thoracic spine for more injury. Um, so here is a therapeutic position for that relationship. And when you rise up, for some people, it's going to have to stop here because any higher and the shoulders are going to shrug and narrow. So you just have to stop where you need to stop because, maybe this is not happening and this is happening instead. So feeling where you can go, maintaining this integrity in space, and then just stopping there. And that's your high Athena today. It's not about where you are in space, but what the tissue will allow, maintaining this space. Um, and if you're not able to feel this organization of breath, if your mind is hearing broaden, inhale, exhale, grow, but your mirror or your body is not reflecting that, you are not alone. If you keep up with that mind body connection and occasionally introducing these apneas and these postures, it will reorganize. I've seen it a million times. So don't be discouraged if you can't just get your body to do it because you now understand what you want it to do. It sometimes takes time to reinvigorate the tissue and get it to expand or glide in the breath. So we're going to do a couple of floor postures that I think that you will feel um, an easier connection to that vacuum all the way from the bottom to top. A lot of the time, the vacuum feels like it's sort of trapped up here. And just as a PSA, the vacuum should not at all contain a pelvic floor lift. So do not try to activate and lift the pelvic floor when you're doing the apnea. The apnea is drawing the pelvic floor up through the air pressure, so you do not have to add a muscular engagement. Is that clear, the differentiation? Okay, cool. So we're going to do a kneeling position. It's just one of my favorites. And I also really like how in this position, you will feel that the activity of your feet is going to directly connect how it feels in your lower belly, which is why we activate out through all of these, areas, the elbows, the fingertips, the heels, and arches. So we're going to come into Maya. Maya can be like this or like this, where the fingertips are in a triangle and the forehead right at the hairline is on the ground. And we are trying to get the dome stacked still. So that's why if I have like my forehead and not my hairline on the ground, then the top of my head is not aligning well with my rib cage. But if I put my hairline on the ground, then I have that dome connection throughout from the top of the head. Sorry, I'm eating my necklace. So you're going to get the hairline on the ground if you're coming to this ground position, or if you find this to be more comfortable, elbows are shoulder width apart, fingers are spread. I like the one down here, so I'm going to do that. So hairline on the ground, first fingers and thumbs are meeting in a triangle, and you are getting your hips around stacked over your knees, not back, not forward, but pretty stacked. And you're rest breathing here. So you're reaching energetically out of your feet. I want you to feel like you are shining light out of your arches. You are spreading the mat with your elbows and your hands. Though they are not coming apart, you are actively trying to broaden the mat or spread the mat to help you spread the upper back. And then you're going to take your rest breaths. Inhale, you feel the broadening of the rib cage, front and back. Exhale, you feel the domes rise. And now, because of the gravitational pull, it's a little easier to feel that pelvic floor lift. Inhale to broaden. Exhale. Next exhale is going to be an apnea. Keeping the activity, spreading the mat, lengthening through the spine, exhaling. Now apnea. In the apnea, I want you to reach out the feet and feel how it helps you to connect with your root. Spread the mat more actively. Feel how that helps you to feel the rib cage widening. And exhale when you're ready. And then just come to a seated position so we can rap about it. So we're going to do a few other positions that help us feel that relationship from our arch to our pelvic floor. Did anyone feel just in that first one, which it does take time, but did anyone feel that as they brought attention to the feet and the activity of the feet, that they could feel something shift in the vacuum?
What kind of activity? I mean, I was trying to I don't know what I was supposed to do with my feet.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, like this, and then you're like
Um,
reaching, right? You just like feel like your
oh,
feet are, and this is going to be the next one. So your feet are like this, and then we're doing an apnea. And then you really spread the toes and open the feet. And as you do this, as you wake up the feet, you will feel your pelvic floor gets more of that vacuum activity. So actually, let's do a laying down one. You'll really feel it there. So we're going to lie down. This one is called Demeter. Your knees are bent. Your heels are on the ground, and you're still doing that same alignment as we did when we were standing. So parallel feet in line with the hip bones. Your head can be down. And this is not a knee bend like you're going to do a bridge, which is in the practice, but this one is further away. Legs are like kind of halfway to straight. Now, hands are going to start here wide in Venus. If you know that you are a rib thruster, somebody who kind of like sticks the ribs out, flares the ribs open, Athena is a great way to help get that in order. So I'm going to ask you to choose. This is a more challenging position, but if you know that you have trouble breathing into your back, this is going to be a better choice for you. Hands here. If you feel like you need to work on expanding 360, that the front ribs are also a bit rigid. And both are good for everything, but I'm giving you a choice for now. Okay, so I will start here, hands wide, fingers spread, and you're going to just breathe your rest breaths. We're going to have 2 rest breaths, exhale apnea. And in the apnea, I want you to let your feet go from a little floppy to really active and kind of flexing the ankles, spreading the toes, and getting the arch of the foot awake, and feel the change in the apnea from floppy feet to flexed feet. Okay, so where feet are flexed, hands are wide, rest breathing. And let's say your feet are at like 50%. Okay, they're not completely down, but they're not also super active. We're going to start the apnea with that kind of half activity in the feet. Inhale, broaden. Maybe can we point the elbows out more? Can we create more hollow in the armpits, more space? After this next exhale, so inhale, exhale, apnea. And then in the apnea, I want you to wake up the feet, spread the fingers, point the elbows out more, and feel how you can influence the apnea because of how you change the extremities. And then just inhale whenever it comes and exhale, and then we'll talk about it. So, Carla, did you feel a connection when you did it? It's okay if you didn't, but now you knew what you were trying to do with your feet.
Yeah, I was trying to, mentally feel it. So I think, like you said earlier, just doing it more often and it becoming more of an awareness, not so much in the head, but in the body. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm sure I'll get there. The very first one standing up, I had to go lay down because I
Like,
didn't probably do it correctly, but my diaphragm on the left and my neck, my trap just went into complete spasm. I could hardly breathe.
yeah.
So it was probably because I didn't do something correctly, but that was like, whoa, that was
Well,
pretty crazy, but I'm better now.
good.
I
Yes.
don't know if that happened to anybody else, but I'm like, oh gosh.
I've had some similar experiences. Did you have something too, Hannah?
I was just giggling because I kind of felt that like same way when I was standing up, but I did feel um that connection a lot more strongly with the laying down positions, definitely.
So when you went from your feet doing this to doing this, did you feel a
Hmm.
shift in your apnea where you're
Yeah, and like moving my elbows too, it kind of just felt like I was able to like
Yeah.
I don't know,
expand?
like yeah, like the tense, not tense, but like just activating like those muscles kind of like activated a stronger like
Right.
suction feeling kind of. Yeah.
You got it because it's not muscle tension, it's air pressure. It's like, but it is tension. It's length in the tissue. And so when you create, more length here, then what's happening here is that the tissue is just getting pulled more taut.
Hmm.
So you are feeling more tension, but the tension is not from contraction, it's from length, you know? And Carla, that cramp feeling is really it's a common thing. Um, it's common when I ask somebody to do something with their arm or their spine that their foot cramps up. And I'm bringing this up because when we're trying and concentrating, we put tension in tissue sometimes unconsciously. So that's one piece of it. The other is that if the diaphragm hasn't been doing this dynamic breath, and we have established that that's kind of like a thing that you want to work on, that the diaphragm hasn't been as dynamic as you want it to be. Then when you're asking it to be in a really big way and the tissue is a bit rigid or plastic, I can see why there's that hitch and that like, seizing up of the tissue. And yeah, I mean, what else can you do but try to, rest and go at it gently again. And eventually what you're doing is bringing more electricity and hydration to the tissue so that it doesn't lock up on you. But I do think it's a really good indication of the diaphragm not moving through the dynamic range regularly. So it's like a call to like more of this, please. So anything else before we move on? A few more. We'll try a few more postures to break down, and then if we have time, we'll do a few in a row so you can start to feel how they go together. Does anyone have anything else they want to work through?
Yeah, I have like zero range of motion through my thoracic, and I could really feel it on the lay down one. But again, that's like majority of where my injury is in my back. So it's like I've done like alligator breaths on the ball and things like that to create less of that rigidity throughout the back of my spine. But I could definitely feel it laying down for sure.
So what you're saying is that you're feeling a lack of movement here in your breath because obviously it's not thoracic mobility in the sense that we're looking for side bending or extension, right? We're just looking for a 360 expansion in your breath and you are feeling that that is limited. You're not able
Yeah,
to breathe into your thoracic spine.
like I can do deep breathing, but I'm finding that it's just not everywhere deep breathing. Like I'm
Yes.
really good at belly breathing. I can I used to have a tendency to flare the rib right after my accident. That was a really big problem. Like I could fit like fingers underneath my ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And that has gone down over time as I've like strengthened other areas of the body and tried to do active release,
Mm-hmm.
like conscious active release for those tighter areas. But I still always notice it like in my rolling like a ball and things like that. Like it's harder for me to get that fluidity in that area of my body. So yeah, I could just feel it with the breath. Was like, oh yeah, I need to do more there.
Well, I will say that my thoracic spine, I felt was very stuck in a significant portion of my life, and I was a Pilates instructor and a yoga instructor, and so for me, it was like more is better, more back bends, more forward bends, more movement. Um, but the thing that actually brought movement to those few vertebrae between my scapula that just didn't seem to ever move, breath work. And the thing is that if you do breath work, it was specific breath work for the thoracic spine, right? Like the alligator breath and stuff like that. But the alligator breath was doing me more favors than the back bends, even though it seemed like so much less stimulus. Um, but when we are doing breath work, if we do not have dynamic function in the diaphragm, then we can be exacerbating the pattern. So in my mind, it is more important for the nervous system and also for your biomechanics and everything else that we work more with how and getting that dialed in before we add a lot of reps. Just like if you have, a funky biomechanics in your squat, you don't want to load that squat heavy and do a million reps. You want to smooth out that form, distribute the load appropriately, then add reps and load. So when we're doing lots of breath work because we want to regulate our nervous system, and we're doing it with a rigid diaphragm and a rigid thoracic spine, we are actually ingraining that breathing pattern and ingraining the threat. So it's a very important thing to re-educate the structure so that the breath work can send the appropriate signal. So we're going to try
Hey,
some, yes?
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, I'm moving a little bit more today between while we're talking because I've been still a lot these last couple weeks. I've been blessed to go on a couple retreats and do a lot of breath work and a lot of being still and meditation. And I have a marathon coming up in March, and
Okay.
so I'm like, okay, and then I have another retreat coming up in January with my sisters for the coalition.
Thanks, babe. Yeah.
So that's why I'm moving in between sets. I just want to let you know that.
Okay. Well, Danny, I know I trust that you know your body. Speaking of marathon and endurance, this could not be a more helpful tool. And this is
Mhm.
utilized with this practice is utilized with athletes to increase their VO2 max and
Mhm.
their ability to deliver oxygen to the muscles that makes our muscular and cardiovascular endurance grow. So it's also a huge piece of that because it's breath. So it's related to everything, All right. So we're going to lie down on the back. We're going to do a little bit of movement with the hands and feet so that we can feel, again, how that tension that we create with our limbs is going to refer back to the sensation we have in our center. So starting with lying down in Demeter, I should check how much time we have. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to start lying down in Demeter. So that's the legs kind of half straight, feet flexed, neutral spine. Again, you guys have a great foundation with me, but in case, because we
About
talk
that.
about it all the time, but neutral spine is when you're lying down, you want to feel the spot, top of your butt crack basically is where the weight of your pelvis is resting. So that's right where your tailbone and sacrum meet, but the top of your butt crack is probably a little bit more of a familiar landmark. And you want to feel that from there, there's a little curve and lift in your lumbar spine, and that your lower rib cage, all the way down that first bottom rib, should be touching the mat. That is neutral spine. So if you're flattened and there's no space under your back, or if you are lifted to the point where those bottom ribs are starting to lift off the mat, then the domes are not aligned and the whole magic does not have the chance to happen.
Oh,
So feeling the weight of the pelvis, at the top of your butt crack, just kind of finding that neutral position for the pelvis. Then seeing if you can relax the sternum and get the bottom rib cage to make contact with the floor so that you can breathe into the floor, not just into the front, but into the back as well. This is your neutral spine. Then we're going to bring your hands into middle Athena. So that's the flexed wrists, the elbows pointing straight out, the fingers spread, and the fingers are about as wide as your armpits. So they're not close together. All right, so the fingers are about in line with the armpits. So now we're going to do our rest breaths. And I'm not going to do the apnea. I'm just going to talk you through it. So inhale, we're going to do one more rest breath and then apnea. Inhale, broaden. Wake up the feet. Exhale, feel the domes rise, pelvic floor, diaphragm, ribs glide to the center. Now apnea. In the apnea, you're going to reach your right arm up and your left leg straighter. As you do that, your right heel is pulling in. So it's like a grip and a reach. Right heel pulls in, left heel reaches out, right arm is pressing up and elbows are pressing out. Stay here for the inhale. Whenever it comes, exhale, you're going to come back to neutral. Now you're rest breathing. So feel how the opposition, one heel is reaching away, one heel is dragging in. That's going to help you connect with that lower part of your vacuum. We're going to do it again on the other side. 2 rest breaths. Inhale. Broaden, feel the ribs fill into the back or into the floor. Exhale, grow. Pelvic floor rises, diaphragm rises, spine lengthens. One more, inhale. Exhale. Apnea. In the apnea, the left arm is going to reach back and the right foot is going to reach out. The left heel is dragging in, so it's a grip and a reach with your feet. Wake up your feet. Feet are flexing, fingers are spreading, elbows are pointing out, influencing the apnea as long as you're able. Take the inhale whenever it comes. And then exhale, you're going to come back to a neutral position. Okay. So you can see why I don't just throw these in casually to our movement practice because they are so detailed. There is so much to think about. And every little thing has such a big influence. Oh, hi, Cece. So good to see you.
Yeah, I'm multitasking just towards the tail end of this, but I'll catch the replay, you know.
Of course, I'm so happy to see you guys here. Okay, so we have time. I would like to do one more similar apnea. So we're going to do, we did the opposite arm and leg where we did this and then this. Now we're going to do the same side. Right arm and leg opens and closes. So you apnea, reach in the apnea. And then inhale, exhale, return to the start position. That's the little pattern we're following, and we're looking for how the feet, how the elbows, the fingertips all influence the sensation when you're in the apnea. Okay, so we'll start in that Demeter position again. Feet flexed, neutral spine, middle Athena, so that's your hands like in line with your chest, palms pointing up at the ceiling. 2 rest breaths. And just do whatever wiggles you need to do to find that organization in the structure and your breathing. Inhale broadens you, exhale lengthens you. So try to feel the domes rise, the spine lengthen. Next exhale will be followed by the apnea. So inhale, exhale, apnea. Right arm reaches, left heel reaches, or sorry, right heel reaches. Right arm, right leg is reaching, left heel is gripping in. Holding the apnea, feeling both heels doing opposite things. Stay here for the inhale when it comes. Exhale back to your start position. Middle Athena arms. Demeter legs and feet. We're going to breathe and recover. Inhale, broadening, elbows pointing out, scapula wide, armpits hollow. Exhale, growing, pelvic floor lifts, diaphragm lifts, spine lengthens. One more breath like that. After the exhale, apnea. Left heel reaches, left palm reaches away from one another. Right heel's gripping in towards your bottom. Both feet are flexed. Elbows are pointing out. Fingers are spread, influencing the apnea. As long as you're able. When the inhale comes, just hold the position. And then the exhale, hands come back to the start, heels come back to the start, and then you can bring your hands down to the ground. And this is our final breath. What we're going to do is start in low Venus where the palms are down on the floor. We'll do our rest breaths. And then in the apnea, we're going to reach the heels out, flip the palms to face the ceiling, and come into that high Venus position. You're going to hold the apnea here and then just relax. After it comes, you can come into Shavasana. So we're starting with knees a bit bent, feet a bit flexed, arms away from the body, elbows slightly bent to create that hollow and broad feeling around the armpits and rib cage. Neutral spine. And rest breath 1. Inhale, broaden. Exhale, grow. Final rest breath. After the exhale, apnea. In the apnea, you're going to flip your palms, begin to reach your heels out and reach your arms up into that high Venus position. There's space between the shoulders and ears. The elbows are slightly bent. The scapula are broad. The heels are reaching. The feet are flexed. The fingers are reaching. The top of the head is lengthening. You hold it. This should be the easiest, longest apnea you've had. It just feels so nice. Whenever the inhale comes, let it come. And then on the exhale, bring your hands down by your side, palms facing up, toes flopped out, and just rest for a moment. Feel the energy shift, the awareness of your organs and your belly tissue, maybe just the spaciousness and dynamic movement of the rib cage. I want you to take a moment to really tune into your body here. Maybe you don't have the luxury of just giving all of your attention to your body, but you can still, on some level, feel the energy has kind of brightened. You're starting to feel maybe a little bit more like, like moving and thinking is more available. Oh, come up to seated whenever you feel ready. Ah, okay, cool. I love the thumbs up, guys. Thank you. So, do you guys feel after doing this with me that the cues, if I use the shorthand, if I remind you to spread your fingers and spread your elbows and like get that space, the organization of the breath, that it's in there, that we can start using it in the rooted classes? So that's awesome. Great. And then the more we do it, obviously, the more it's going to become comfortable, familiar, and you might start to feel like new things. And there's so many variations, rotations, lunges, all kinds of stuff that we can do to increase this awareness of how the vacuum illustrates our fascial lines, that you can just twist the tiniest little bit and start to feel that pull from the thigh and the hip flexor across the belly into the scapula. And so you'll start to really feel how we're spring loaded, and it will help to not inform just your breath, but your movement and biomechanics. Does anyone have any questions or any reflections you guys want to share before we go?
I need to do a lot more of this.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
there's so many options, and I can, if it's not with me, I'm connected to the world of hypopressives. I know I know a lot of people teaching it. So privates with me, privates with them. If there's classes, group classes, if we have enough people interested in this, we'll start a group class, even if it's for a short series where we do like a series of 5 just to get better and get it online so we can start making this a home practice. If that's an interest of your guys's, please reach out. Rooted is going to stay rooted, which is, never the same twice. And so we will integrate that. But as far as a strict hypopressives class where that's all we're focused on, if you guys are interested in doing that, just let me know. And then we'll try to organize like a short series where we just get more dialed in. And yeah, do you feel like after doing this that there's a little bit more awareness of the organization of the breath, like how we were meant to breathe, what we're looking for?
I
Yeah.
definitely do. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's also informing. That's why we do the intelligent design breathing, where we just feel how we're breathing and where we want to bring the air and the air pressure. But sometimes we do it and it's stuck. And the stuckness is not going to necessarily become unstuck just with awareness. Sometimes having this extra stimulus really helps move the needle much quicker. So yeah, just reach out to me. Sorry, the bugs. Reach out to me individually if you guys are interested in a class, and maybe we'll do a short-term class to just get this skill built.
Sounds good. I would like it.
Thank you guys. So great to see you
Thank you.
all. I appreciate it. Yeah, trust next time we're in
Thank
Rooted,
you.
we're going to be integrating some hypopressives.
I miss you. I'm
I'm
sorry,
so
I
What's
haven't
that?
been here. The Valentine's babies are all being born around this time, so I'm having births like every day.
I do know because I got pregnant on Valentine's Day and had a baby at this time, and Chase and I are both Scorpios too, so we must have been Valentine's babies too. So we just had all our birthdays. We get it. As a midwife, I understand that you are a doula. I understand that you were probably very busy this time of year.
aw, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
actually, you said it right the first time. I am going to be a practicing midwife in about 2 to 3 years.
Oh, good. So you
Oh,
started that. That's amazing, Danny. Just add it to your list, right?
Yeah.
Good for you.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
that's great.
this practice is utilized postpartum so much because when, a disorganized breath plus a pregnancy and a birth results in obviously much more disorganized breathing, like much more of a challenge. So it's usually where it shows up, and the opportunity to reorganize, like it becomes more of an imperative for people. Yeah, as we can see by the baby joining us today. Love you guys.
Yes. Love you.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Take care. See you soon.
Hi, baby.
Bye.